Have you ever met a woman who has money in the bank, a stable income, maybe even a home, a retirement account, or investments, but still acts like one wrong move could collapse everything? She's not broke. But she moves like she is one emergency away from panic. She can have thousands saved, but still hesitate to replace a laptop that barely works. She can earn a good salary, but feel her chest tighten the moment a bill comes in. She can spend freely on her children, her aging parents, a family emergency, a wedding, or a trip everyone else wants to take. But when it is time to buy comfort for herself, she suddenly becomes responsible. She tells herself, "I don't really need it." She waits. She delays. She talks herself out of ease. And from the outside, it looks confusing. How can a woman be financially stable but emotionally unsafe with money? How can she be generous with everyone else but suspicious of spending on herself? How can she build wealth but still feel like it could disappear overnight? Here is what most people miss. This is not confusion. This is not stinginess. This is not a woman who does not understand money. This is a money survival pattern. And once you understand where it came from, the way many Gen X women handle money starts to make perfect sense. To understand this, we have to talk about Gen X women. Women born roughly between 1965 and 1980. The generation people often skip over when money conversations happen. Boomers get studied for their real estate. Millennials get blamed for spending. Gen Z gets analyzed for side hustles and soft life. But Gen X women? They are often the quiet middle. The women who learned to keep going. The women who became responsible early. The women who watched one version of money as children, then entered adulthood in a completely different economy. Many of their parents were raised on a simple financial promise. Work hard, stay loyal, save what you can, buy a home, retire safely. And for a while, that promise looked believable. But General X women grew up and started seeing the cracks. Jobs that once looked permanent started disappearing. Marriages that looked stable ended, and money became part of the damage. Credit card debt became normal. Homes did not always feel like guaranteed security. Pensions weakened. Companies that once acted like families started making decisions like machines. So General X women did not just learn how to budget. They learned how quickly financial safety can change. They did not just learn money. They learned disappointment through money. And that disappointment shaped the way they save, spend, trust, protect, and prepare. Picture a young General X girl in the late 70s or early 80s. She is sitting in the back seat while her mother drives to the bank, or standing beside her father while he fills out a deposit slip. The bank feels serious, quiet, adult, safe. The teller knows their name. The paycheck comes every 2 weeks. The house has a mortgage, but nobody talks about it like danger. The job has been there for years, so it feels like it will always be there. Retirement is not spoken about as a dream. It is spoken about as a plan. You work, you save, you stay loyal. And one day life rewards you with rest. To a child watching this, money looks like a straight road. Not easy, but predictable. If you do the right things happen. But then she grows up. And slowly, the world starts breaking the agreement. People who worked hard still got laid off. Couples who built homes together still split assets in court. Companies that promised security started cutting benefits. Homes that were supposed to build wealth lost value. Retirement stopped feeling guaranteed and started feeling like a question mark. And that is where the first money wound formed. Not because she never saw stability, but because she saw stability first. She believed it was real. Then adulthood taught her that what looked permanent was only temporary. The first wealth wound of many. General X women was not poverty. It was watching certainty expire. And this is why many General X women can save money consistently but still not feel safe. Because for them, saving is not always about peace. Sometimes saving is about protection. It is the emergency fund that says, if something happens, I will not be helpless. It is the extra account nobody touches. The cash buffer, the retirement contribution, the money kept aside just in case the job changes, the car breaks down, the child needs help, the parent gets sick, or life suddenly becomes expensive without warning. And the strange part is, even when the money is there, the fear does not always leave. Because their nervous system is not only asking, how much do I have? It is asking, will this be enough if everything changes? That is a very different question. General X women learned that systems can fail, jobs can fail, marriages can fail, markets can fail, promises can fail. So preparation became a form of emotional control. When life felt unpredictable, saving made them feel like they could at least hold one corner of the room steady. But this is the part many people miss. This is not abundance yet. This is survival dressed as responsibility, because abundance says, I am allowed to build, enjoy, and receive. Survival says, I must prepare, because nobody is coming. And many General X women were not just saving for themselves. They became the quiet backup plan for everyone else. The child who might need support, the parent who might need care, the sibling who might call in a crisis, the household that depends on her staying strong. So even when she has money, she does not always feel free. She feels responsible. Responsible for emergencies that have not happened yet. Responsible for people who may never ask directly but somehow still depend on her stability. And that is why her savings can grow, but her sense of safety can stay small. Because she is not only trying to build wealth, she is trying to make sure life never catches her unprepared again. And this is also why many General X women do not fully trust one income. Even when the job is good, even when the salary is stable, even when the company looks strong, some part of them is always asking, but what if this changes? Because they have seen stable things become unstable. They have seen loyal employees replaced. They have seen industries shift. They have seen women start over after divorce, layoffs, illness, or family emergencies. So for many of them, one income does not feel like security. It feels like exposure. That is why a General X woman may have a full-time job, but still keep something on the side. Consulting, selling, freelancing, real estate, a small business, a weekend service, a skill she can monetize, helping with a family business, or a quiet idea she is building after work when everyone else has gone to sleep. From the outside, people may call it ambition, but underneath it is often something deeper. It is the need to know, if one door closes, I still have another way out. For many General X women, extra income was not about looking ambitious. It was about never being trapped. Never trapped in a job that disrespects her. Never trapped in a marriage because she cannot afford to leave. Never trapped by one employer's decision. Never trapped by an economy that changes its mind overnight. And this is where their money behavior becomes powerful, but also exhausting, because multiple income streams can build freedom. But when they are built from fear, they can also become another form of pressure. She is not just earning, she is bracing. She is not just building, she is protecting. And that is why the General X woman's relationship with income is so layered. She wants growth, but she also wants an escape route. And this is where General X women can look confusing from the outside, because the same woman who uses coupons at the grocery store may spend thousands on a family vacation. The same woman who refuses to replace an old appliance may pay for her child's graduation party without blinking. The same woman who drives a car until the wheels almost beg for mercy may spend money on concerts, weddings, birthdays, holidays, and moments that bring people together. At first, it looks inconsistent, but it is not. It is emotional math. Many General X women learned that things are not always as secure as they look. A house can lose value, a car can break down, a company can stop caring. A closet full of things can still mean nothing when life turns upside down. So possessions do not always feel like safety. Sometimes possessions feel like responsibility, maintenance, debt, clutter, another thing to protect. But memories feel different. A trip with her children, a concert with old friends, a wedding where the whole family finally gathers, a birthday dinner where everyone laughs like life has not been heavy. Those moments feel like something no recession can repossess, no company can lay off, no market crash can erase. And this is especially true for women who spent years being strong for everyone else. A General X woman may deny herself luxury. She may talk herself out of ease. She may say, I don't need much. But when it comes to creating a memory for the people she loves, suddenly the money becomes easier to release. Because deep down, she is not just paying for an event. She is paying for proof that life can still feel good. She is paying for connection, for joy, for something the spreadsheet cannot fully measure. So no, she is not careless. She is not irrational. She is trying to buy moments the economy cannot take back. Another thing you may notice about Gen X women is that they do not blindly hand over their financial decisions. They may listen to an expert, but they will still go home and research. They may hire an advisor, but they will still check the statements. They may invest, but they will still ask, what exactly is my money doing? And to some people, this can look like control. It can look like stubbornness. It can even look like they do not trust anyone. But when you understand their history, it makes sense. Because General X women watched too many adults trust systems that later changed the rules. They saw companies promise stability, then cut people loose. They saw benefits disappear. They saw retirement plans become confusing. They saw homes, jobs, marriages, and markets stop feeling predictable. So when someone says, Just trust me with your money. Something in them does not relax. It studies, it questions, it verifies, because for her, financial advice is not just information, it is risk. And this is why many General X women became self-educators. They read, they compare, they ask quiet questions. They search online late at night. They want to understand the fine print before they move. Not because they believe they know everything, but because they know what happens when a woman does not understand what she is signing, investing in, or depending on. Her distrust is not arrogance. It is the memory of watching adults trust systems that later abandon them. Now, General X women do not always hate debt. That is the part people misunderstand. Many of them understand that some debt can be strategic. A mortgage can make sense, a business loan can make sense. Student loans may have felt necessary. Borrowing to buy an asset, build something, or create long-term stability can feel reasonable. Why? Because structured debt has a shape. There is a number, there is a payment, there is a timeline, there is a reason behind it. Even if it is uncomfortable, at least she can map it. But chaotic debt feels different. Credit cards, consumer loans, buy now, pay later, store financing, payments scattered across apps, interest that grows quietly in the background, small purchases that turn into monthly obligations. That kind of debt does not feel like a tool. It feels like a trap. Because to a General X woman, the fear is not always borrowing money. The fear is losing control. She has seen how debt can start small and become emotional pressure. She has seen families argue over bills. She has seen women stay in stressful situations because money was tied up. She has seen people earn decent money and still feel buried because every dollar already belongs to someone else. So when she avoids certain types of debt, it is not always because she is afraid to grow. It is because she knows the difference between debt that builds and debt that drains. One has a destination. The other keeps moving the finish line. And that is the real psychology. They do not hate debt. They hate debt that removes control. Because to a General X woman, the most dangerous debt is not always the biggest one. It is the one that keeps changing shape. And then there is another habit many Gen X women have. They keep proof. Paper files, receipts, bank statements, insurance documents, old tax records, warranty papers, passwords written somewhere safe, copies of important documents in more than one place. And maybe to younger women, this can look unnecessary, because everything is online now. Everything has an app. Everything has a login. Everything says, "Don't worry, your information is stored." But a General X woman does not always relax because something is stored digitally. She wants proof she can access, proof she can print, proof she can hold, because she has lived long enough to know that systems can glitch. Websites can go down. Companies can lose records. Accounts can get locked. Passwords can stop working. And when money is involved, I think it's in my email somewhere does not feel like enough. This is not being outdated. This is financial redundancy. It is the same reason she may have more than one savings account. A backup card, a written list, a folder for taxes, a separate place for emergency money, a plan for what happens if the first plan fails. She may use digital banking. She may invest online. She may check her retirement account through an app. But she does not worship convenience. Because convenience is useful until it fails. And General X women have seen enough things fail to know that backup is not paranoia. Backup is wisdom. A Gen X woman may use the app, but she still wants evidence she can hold. So what does this mean for younger women watching? It means we should not laugh at the way General X women handle money. We should study it. Because hidden inside their caution are lessons many younger women need now. Do not depend on one income if you have the ability to build another. Not because you should live in fear, but because options give a woman power. Do not confuse looking wealthy with being secure. The nice apartment, the designer bag, the soft life aesthetic, the luxury dinner, none of that matters if one emergency can pull the whole image apart. Do not outsource your financial understanding completely. You can hire experts. You can ask for help. You can learn from people. But never become a stranger to your own money. Know what you earn, know what you owe, know what you are building, know what you are avoiding, and maybe most importantly, do not ignore your nervous system around money. If spending makes you panic, study that. If saving never makes you feel safe, study that. If receiving money makes you uncomfortable, study that. If you feel guilty every time you choose yourself, study that too. Because wealth is not just what is in the account, it is also what your body believes you are allowed to have. So yes, build income, build savings, build investments, build assets, but also build emotional safety. Because a woman can have money and still live like she is waiting for disaster, and that is not freedom yet. But we also need to learn what General X women were not always taught, and this is where the healing begins. Because yes, General X women became strong, but sometimes strength became hypervigilance. They became prepared, but sometimes preparation became fear. They became independent, but sometimes independence became isolation. And that matters. Because when a woman has spent years being the backup plan, the responsible one, the one who holds everything together, she may not even realize she is tired. She may call it discipline. She may call it maturity. She may call it being smart with money. But underneath, her body may still be asking, am I safe yet? So the goal is not to shame the survival pattern. The goal is to update it. Because that pattern protected her once. It helped her think ahead. It helped her stay alert. It helped her survive unstable seasons. But the same pattern that helped her survive may not be the pattern that helps her fully receive, rest, build, and enjoy. You can respect the woman who survived instability, while becoming the woman who no longer has to live like disaster is always near. At the end of all this, here is what you need to understand. The way a woman handles money is rarely random. It is not just about numbers. It is not just about discipline. It is not just about knowledge. Your money habits are often the emotional record of what life taught you to expect, what you saw growing up, what you experienced as an adult, what you learned to fear, what you learned to protect, what you learned to never depend on again. And until you see that clearly, you may keep managing money from a place you have already outgrown. So if this made you think of yourself, or your mother, or your aunt, or a woman who always seemed strong, responsible, and prepared, but never fully relaxed around money, I want you to drop a comment below. Tell me what you noticed, because once you can name the pattern, you can start to change it. And subscribe to the Wealthy Woman Code, because if you keep consuming money content without understanding your money psychology, you may keep repeating patterns you are actually meant to outgrow.